Hello and welcome back to our YouTube channel. Well, it is lecture number 5 of Indian Ancient History and the date is 19th August 2025 and today's discussion would revolve around later Vedic age and Mahajanpadas. So, before we'll start our discussion, I would like to give the brief revision of what we had discussed so far with respect to the Vedic age. In our last class, which we discussed yesterday, we first discussed in that class the decline of IVC. Decline of IVC. Then we started with the migration of Aryans. After that, we discussed the early Vedic age, mostly related to Rig Veda. We saw different aspects of the early Vedic age, whether we discussed what was the economy there, what was the social structure there, and what was the religion there. And I had always told you, since we started this initiative, these lectures are specific to history. So please don't get confused if I will not touch the cultural and literature part of your history. So please don't get confused, because for that we'll take different classes here on this platform only. But right now we are doing ancient history. After that we will take up the medieval, then we'll discuss the art and culture. There we'll discuss everything what we had left here. So we were discussing the we started the discussion over the Vedic age. We saw what kind of political system was there, what kind of economic system was there, and what kind of social structure was there. So with respect to that, let me give a brief recap of the characteristics of the early Vedic age for you guys. Characteristics of early Vedic age. Let me give it for you guys. The first thing which we learned, that it is the pastoralist. It was the pastoralist community with least agriculture, limited agriculture, or least agriculture, whatever you want to say. So it was the pastoralist community with least agriculture. Then what was the wealth there? The cattle was considered the wealth. And I gave you the examples from still in our society, in villages, people think whoever has the huge mound of dung in front of their home, they believe that they are rich, they are the wealthy. So it is this concept still is very much living in our societies, especially in the rural areas. Then after that we saw that what kind of polity was there. There was the tribal polity. We see that Rajan was the head, but he was something, we can say that a kind of elected head, not the present elections which we have right now, but he was nominated, and nomination was on the basis of experience, on the basis of knowledge. If he would have been the most experienced person, and he would have the knowledge. And then we also saw that how he would administer through Sabha, he would administer through Samiti, and there would be something other body called the Vidhata, which would be the cultural body. What kind of trade they used to do? There was no trade, at least no external trade. Inside there was the barter system, which we know that. After that, what kind of religion they followed? It was mostly naturalistic religion. They followed the forces of the nature. They worshipped Agni and Indra, all that gods which we had discussed, least important for your exam. Then we saw what was the role of the woman, how woman was accepted in the society. I told you guys the last time woman had seen extreme freedom, it was in the early Vedic age. So it was there, but at the same time patriarchal system was starting to emerge. After that, we also know that they did not use the iron, but they had the knowledge of the iron. And Varna system, was there Varna system? There was Varna system, but not this kind of Varna system which we have the later Vedic age. Or we can say, if the statement comes in the exam, the Varna system in the early Vedic age, we can say there was no Varna system. But the reference to Varna system is given in the hymns of the Rig Veda, but they were the later addition. And with respect to those hymns, we can say that Varna system was there, but it was not based on the blood, mostly based on the occupation, or there is also another a set of people, another set of historians, we say that this Varna system was based on the complexion. If you are blackish in color, if you have the darker complexion, then you would be Kshatriya, and if you have the fairer complexion, then you would be Brahman. It was basically, mostly it is discussed that it was based on the color, it was based on the complexion. And even though the Varna system was there, if we will accept this theory, we will say that it was based on the occupation. Shudras are recognized as per the later additions to the Rig Veda under the Pura Shukta hymn. Under the Pura Shukta hymn, Shudras were also recognized, but there was the it was fully based on the occupation. There was cross dining, there was cross marriages, and a person who, if he was the Shudra in the Rig Vedic age, he could have changed his occupation, he could have changed his Varna. So this we had discussed so far with respect to it. Now, today we are going to discuss the later Vedic age. So we saw the time limit, what was the time limit for the early Vedic age? It was something around 1500 BC to 1000 BC. And in the later Vedic age, we will shift from 1000 BC onwards till 600 BC. So let me write it here. Later Vedic age. It is from 1000 BCE to 600 BCE. So this is the time period which we have to discuss today. Now let's start our discussion. With respect to later Vedic age, you have to remember one thing. This topic is very much specific to your prelims preparation. So today's discussion, which we will do today, it would be mostly based on the facts, and you have to remember these facts because many questions get asked in the exams. The UPSC is following this trend that they are asking most of the questions from this later Vedic age. So with respect to it, first thing which you have to remember, which is unique to later Vedic age, almost, I would again repeat this statement, almost all the social evils emerged in the later Vedic age. Almost all the social evils emerged in the later Vedic age. Please don't mention or don't get confused with respect to sati and widow, widows not allowed to remarry. That is some different concept that would come after some time when we will reach to the Gupta era. There we will see that stuff. But here the primary social evils started to come in. And let's start with the economy. What was the economy in the later Vedic age? Without any delay, let's have a look at the economy of the later Vedic age. In the early Vedic age, we saw that they were mostly pastorals. In the later Vedic age, the agriculture was extensively followed. When agriculture was extensively followed, we understood one thing about the agriculture, that it would lead to the complex societies. When agriculture is there, it would lead to what? It would lead to surplus. It would increase. When the surplus would be there, then definitely there is something is needed who can control it. Somebody higher is needed to control it. So it gave the concept of early monarchical system, or we can say it led to the concept of the state, because the surplus has to be controlled. It has to be controlled, it has to be distributed. So somebody at that level, when agriculture was extensively done, the surplus was very huge. So definitely it led to the complex societies, it led to the creation of the complex societies. So definitely there was the need that somebody should control it, and it led to the formation of the state, the early formation of the state. And also we see that a unique thing about this later Vedic age with respect to trade, it is similar to that of the early Vedic age. We can't find that there was some external trade. So trade was almost absent there, almost absent in the later Vedic age also. So trade was absent, but the major economy was run by the agriculture. And also it was the diverse, there were diversity in the occupation too. diversity in occupation, and first time we see the rise of the blacksmiths, lohars, which we call in Hindi or Urdu, rise of the blacksmiths. And in agriculture also we see the use of iron. One thing, very peculiar thing about the later Vedic age is that the use of iron is extensively used, whether it would be in agriculture or or wherever the necessity was. So use of iron, it was extensively used. And also we see the traces of the land was gifted, transferred, and given to families. So what does it mean? That land became the private property. So first time the concept of private property with respect to land, it emerged, that because it was transferred, it was given to families, it was given as the gift, so it definitely became the land became the private property. So this was the kind of economy during the later Vedic age. Now what was the political and social structure there? Political and social structure or social system there. First, in the political system, we know that we see the rise of monarchical political system. Monarchical political system. In the early Vedic age, we knew that the head of the state or head of the Janpada would be the Rajan. And who is Rajan? He is the nominated person. He is elected person. And what is his duty? To protect land and cattle. Now we have the Rajan, but his scope has changed. Who is he? He is the sole head of the state. He is the sole head of the state, and what is his duty? To protect his territory. So earlier in the Rig Veda or in the early Vedic age, the Rajan was the protector of land and cattle, and he was nominated. In the later Vedic age, Rajan, he is the sole head of this state, and he is the protector. What is his duty? To protect his territory. So he protects the land he has. And this Rajan in the early Vedic age, he is nominated, and in later Vedic age he is hereditary. So his son will become, once he will die, his son will become the Rajan. So the power came into one family. Power started to come under one family. And the concept with respect to when power started to come into one family, then it gave the concept of the divine kinship. And because of this divine kinship, there started the intimate relationship between the Brahmans and the Kshatriyas. The intimate relation between Brahmanas and Kshatriyas. Why? Because the Brahmanas, they would talk to the gods, they would know the knowledge of the religion, they would know the Vedas, and they will decide what gods will convey to them according to them. And Kshatriyas, they will choose from the Kshatriyas who is going to rule. So this relationship became the necessity for any family to emerge as the protector, for anyone to emerge as a Rajan. He has to have the great relationship with the Brahman, otherwise he will not achieve that, because Brahmans they will communicate with the people, they will have the control over the people, they know the delicacies of the people, they know how they are intimately connected with the religion, and they will use this in a way to promote any political party in present sense, or they will use this power to promote any king. So this is what the divine nature of the kinship started. And also to justify it, the sacrifices started, different, the king started to do different sacrifices. For example, we have the mention of the Ashwa Medha Vagna. Vagna. This concept of Ashwamedha Vagna started. What is this? In it is the institutional horse sacrifice, we can say. It has two aspects. One is institutional horse sacrifice, and the second one is that for any Rajan To mark his territory, he will lose his horse and the chariot, and there would be the driver, and he will convey to the people that till this horse reaches till the territory he covers without being stopped, that territory belongs to the king, and nobody would stop him. Usually nobody will stop him. If anybody will try to stop him, then the war will start. So this is Ashwamedha Vagna. Then there is another term with respect to the sacrifices. It is Rajsuya Vagna. Rajsuya Vagna. It is basically related to the coronation ceremony. Coronation ceremony. And then the third term which you have to remember is Vajpaya Vagna. It is basically a support, in which the people will the people will come in and they will participate in it. It is basically a chariot racing. Chariot racing. Please do ignore my mistakes, but look at the concepts what I am conveying here. Maybe my spelling mistakes are not are very often very often visible in these writings, but try to understand the concepts. That is important for you. And for with respect to the notes, if you have any book, that is fine, and if you want to trust me, I would prepare notes for you guys, so don't worry about that. So this is what these are the sacrifices in which emerged, so that these are the ceremonies which emerged with respect to the divine kinship of the king, divine kinship of the Rajan, so that he will show the people how absolutely he is powerful. So what is the political system? The monarchical system started. The power will come in the hands of the one ultimate ruler. So this is the whole concept of it. Then what happened to Sabha, Smiti and Vidata? Let's try to understand that. Sabha, in early Vedic age, we saw that all the elderly adults will participate in it. But in the later Vedic age, the Sabha would be the members chosen by king, member chosen by Rajan. He will choose the members in the Sabha. Now it became the nominated body of the king. Sabha became the nominated body of the king. Then we have the Samiti. It stood for some time, but eventually it faded away. After that, we have the Vidata. It also faded away. It did not existed in the later Vedic age. So this happens to these assemblies during the later Vedic age. What kind of was there taxation? What about taxation? In the early Vedic age, no trace of taxation, but you would give the voluntary gifts to the Rajan, which was called as Bali. Now this Bali became the it became the compulsory tax. With the Bali, we have another, that is the Bhaga. It is 1/6 or 1/3 of the share of production. 1/6 or 1/3 of share of the production, and it would be given. These are the compulsory taxes. And who would be the tax collector? There are different names for the tax collector. For here, just remember, it is Sangrahitri. So it is Sangrahitri. Sangrahitri. He is the tax collector. So tax became the compulsory. In the early Vedic age, tax was not compulsory, taxation was not there. But in the later Vedic age, we see that taxation became the compulsory thing. And now we need to know, what kind of lands are there. Often you will see in the exam there are questions. What type of lands are there? They will give the names, and we have to match the following. If you would have seen your earlier papers, last year papers. So let's know that what kind of lands were there, what were their characteristics, types of lands available, types of lands in the later Vedic age. First we have the Shatra. Which land it is? It is the most fertile land. Most fertile land. Then we have the Gapata Sara. Gapata Sara. Please ignore my mispronunciations, but remember these words. It is the pasture land. Pasture land. Then we have Khila. It is the wasteland. Then we have Vasti. It is the habitable land. And then we have Aparahata. Aparahata. It is the forest land. You know, this is one of the most important thing which we had studied today, which can be asked in the exam. So you can ignore the rest, but please don't ignore this slide. You know, note down these types of lands which were in the later Vedic age, because often the prelims question would be asked from this part. So this is very important for you guys. Now let's move to the another important slide for today's discussion, which is the administrative terms which were used at that time. First, let me repeat. I will note down this administrative terms for you guys, because these two slides are very much important for you, you know, for your exam, for your prelims preparation. As I told you on the first day, the ancient history, medieval history, they are very much specific to your prelims preparation. So here we will much focus on the prelims as well as mains. Everything would be covered, so you don't have to worry about. But only the important things, only the relevant things. We will not jump into those things which are not relevant, which are not asked in the exam. We will stick to your syllabus. So what are the administrative terms which you have to note down? Please write down these administrative terms. Administrative terms. First, it is Bhaga Dugha. Bhaga Dugha, he is the collector of tax. Collector of tax. You know, for the tax collector we have another name too. What is that name? It is Sangrahitri. Also Sangrahitri, which we discussed in the previous slide. So this is the correct collector of tax. Then we have another term which is Shata. Shata, what is this? He is the in charge of royal household. In charge of royal household. Then the third term, it is the Satapati. Satapati, he would be the governor or chief justice, governor or chief justice. Then we have Vaka Bhumika, fourth. Vaka Bhumika. Who is he? He is the inspector of cow pens. Inspector of cow pens. Then fifth, we have the Govikartana. Who is he? He is the keeper of games and forests. Keeper of greens and forests. Then we have Purapati. Who is he? He is in charge of forts and cities. In charge of forts and cities. Then we have Palagala. Who is he? He is the messenger. Then we have Ashawapa, eighth. Ashawapa. Who is he? He is the accountant. Then we have Mahishi. She is the chief queen. Then we have Suta or Magadha. Suta or Magadha. He is the historian, court historian, we can say, court historian. Then we have the Gramini. Gramini, he is the village in charge. So these are the administrative terms which you have to take care of, which you have to remember, which you have to memorize, because you can expect the questions from them. You can expect the questions from this part. It is very much relevant for your exam, very much relevant for your preparation. So this is the political system there. What is the political system? The Rajan is now the sole king. It is the hereditary post. It is not the nominated one. It is not the elected one. He will be the one and only, and it is the hereditary. Once he will die, his son will come and he will rule. Then there started the divine kinship. There was the intimate romance between the Brahmanas and the Kshatriyas. Why? Because Kshatriyas used to rule, Brahmanas were in charge of the religion. They were connected to the god, and people are often connected. They are more connected to the god than the state. So the best way to control the people, the best way to manipulate the people were the Brahmins, were the religious priests. So this was a necessity. The Brahmins will convey to the people that God has promised them that Falani will become, that particular man will become the Rajan. He is the Rajan. God has promised that to him, then he will come in. For that, then emerged the concept of sacrifices. For example, Ashwamedha Yagna came in, then Raja Suya Yagna came in, and Vajpaya Yagna came in. There were sacrifices, sacrifices of horses and various other things that we had taken care of. Then after that, we saw that what happened to the Sabha. Sabha was there, but its character changed. In the early Vedic age, the Sabha was the representation of elderly people, elderly population, elderly people, whether it would be both men and women were part of it. Now it became the nominated house, like a cabinet. After that, what happened to Samiti and Samiti and another what happened to Samiti? We know that it almost ended. And what happened to Vidhata? That also ended. Then we saw that what were the important administrative terms with respect. Then we discussed the taxation. What kind of taxation was there? It became the compulsory. The taxation became the compulsory. Earlier in the Rigvedic age, in the early Vedic age, there was no taxation, but here taxation became the compulsory. Then we saw these administrative terms. We also saw what kind of lands were there. We drafted the names of these lands. For example, Shatra for the most fertile land, Gapata Sara for the pasture land, Khila for the wasteland, Vasti for the habitable land, and Aprahata for the forest land. Then we saw the important administrative terms which can be relevant for your exam, and they are here. Now I will give you the foods which were consumed by them, mostly the foods which were consumed by them, and what are the names for those foods. It can also be asked in the exam. For example, cereals such as barley was consumed. Barley, and what is the name of it? It is the Java. And wheat, name for it is Gunduma. And rice, name for it is Rihi. These were the cereals mostly which were consumed by the people of the later Vedic age. Now with this, let's move to the another part of our today's discussion, which is the society and the religion. Society and the religion. So for that, let me rub it first. In the early Vedic age, what kind of religion was there? They were the naturalistic. They believed in the forces of the nature. But in the later Vedic age, first time the religion emerged in the modern form which we have. The religion became the Vedic Brahmanism. In the later Vedic age, the religion became the Vedic Brahmanism. Why Vedic Brahmanism? Because it were the Brahmins who will interpret the Vedas, and according to them, the religion will be followed. That's why we call it Vedic Brahmanism. Is it the modern Hinduism? Well, we can say that Hinduism is inspired from the Vedic Brahmanism, but they are totally two different things. We can see the traces of Vedic Brahmanism in Hinduism, but we cannot say that Vedic Brahmanism. We can say that modern Hinduism emerged from the Vedic Brahmanism, but not Vedic Brahmanism is not the modern Hinduism. Vedic Brahmanism is totally different because they fully believe in the Vedas. The whole interpretation was from the Vedas, and for the modern Hinduism you may know much better what it is about. So these are two different. We can say the maximum max we can say that modern Hinduism has emerged from the Vedic Brahmanism. The gods are different, the interpretation is different. So who was the god in the Vedic Brahmanism? It was the Prajapati. Prajapati. We see the Rudra was there, Vishnu. So the concepts of Rudra, Vishnu, and the Prajapati was the main god. It is this religion is based on the on what is based on the Vedas. So it gave the emphasis. This religion gave emphasis to the rituals and the sacrifices. Emphasis to the rituals and sacrifices. And because of these rituals and sacrifices, it gave the concept of it promoted the motion of the ritualistic purity. Because of these rituals and sacrifices, and certain people only can do these rituals and sacrifices, it gave the concept of what? It gave the concept of the ritualistic purity. Ritualistic purity. So because of this ritualistic purity, the emergence of the fourfold Varna system. It led to the emergence of the fourfold Varna system, which was based on the hierarchy. So at the top there would be the Brahmins, then there would be the Kshatriyas, then there would be the Vaishyas, and then there would be the Shudras. So these Brahmins, they will read the Vedas, they will be the people of knowledge. These Kshatriyas, they would fight, they would be the rulers. Vaishyas, they will do the business or agriculture, and the Shudras, they will serve the upper three classes. Because of this, the concept of purity and impurity came in, and Shudras, they were socially discriminated. That's why I told you when we started our discussion with respect to the later Vedic age that because of the later Vedic age we see the emergence of the social evils. It was here when the Varna system in the present time has emerged, and it gave us the social stratification. It gave different classes to the different castes, and because of that, the Shudras, who were the lower castes, they were socially discriminated. They do not have the right to rituals. They do not have the right to access the knowledge. They cannot read the Vedas, or they don't have the power to change their own fate. If you are the Shudra, you will always remain the Shudra. In the early Vedic age, if in the early Vedic age you are the Shudra, you can change your status by just changing the occupation. But in the later Vedic age, if you are Shudra, you will remain Shudra. Your kids will remain Shudra. It became much blood oriented. So this is what kind of society emerged. And also men became extremely dominant. In this phase, men became extremely dominant. They have the extreme power. The patriarchy reached to its zenith. The patriarchy was at its peak. And the woman, they lost money rights. They cannot attend the Sabha now. Simriti, it almost vanished. Vidhata almost vanished. They cannot have the private property. What was the reason for not having the private property? Because when woman gets married, she has to move to the husband's house. And when they will move to the husband's house, then her property will go with her, and it will become the property of someone else. So to keep the property within the hands of the family, they took this right away from the woman. She can't have the private property. She will not have the hereditary rights, and she will only be recognized as the relatives of the male. Maybe somebody's sister, somebody's mother, somebody's daughter. They will not have their own identity. So this is the social and religious structure. And if we look at it, what kind of marriages were there? Mostly monogamy and polygamy. But man can have one wife or more than one wife, but woman can't have more than one husband. Polyandry was not allowed. So this is this all social, religious and political structure of the later Vedic age. Now let me recap you all this what we had discussed so far. Let me give you these characteristics in the nutshell so that you can remember it. Let me give these characteristics to you, the characteristics of the later Vedic age to you, so that you can remember it. Characteristics, features of later Vedic age. You have to remember these features. First, we saw that monarchical political system, which we discussed, that how Rajan became the supreme power. Then we see the agriculture became the primary activity. Agriculture became the primary activity. With this agriculture, diversity of occupation was still there, but the agriculture was the primary activity. Then the concept of divine kinship, which we discussed. Fourth characteristic of it, land became the wealth. In the early Vedic age, cattle was the wealth. Now land became the wealth. It can be transferred, it can be gifted. So it became the private property. Then concept of taxation emerged. We saw that Bali became the compulsory tax and Baga 1/6 or 1/3 of your produce. Then religion was the Vedic Brahmanism, where Prajapati was the god, or we can say the Rudra was there, and Vishnu was there. Then emergence of the fourfold Varna system. It is there. What about trade? There is no trade. At least no external trade. In the interior, there was the a barter system. No currency was there. Woman became subordinate. To the men. Then 10th, patriarchal society. Then we have Dasa-Dasi system. It still continued. Dasa-Dasi system still continued. 12th, we have the Shudras and women were excluded. Excluded. Then 13th, we have the intimate relationship between Brahman and the king and Kshatriyas that we had discussed. Intimate relationship between Brahman and Kshatriyas. Then what was the blacksmith emerged? Occupation as the blacksmith, artisan, new artisan, the blacksmith emerged, and Sabha changed. Smriti and Vidhata vanished. So these are some important concepts, important characteristics of the later Vedic age. With this, I hope you had understood the social, political and economic conditions of the later Vedic age. Everything is sorted out, and you can now compare it with the early Vedic age. I had given you this comparison while we were discussing the later Vedic age. And also one thing I would like to mention here, there was no currency system. Because everything was in the barter structure. Now with this, we had reached to the 600 BCE. Now we will discuss 600 BCE onwards. But before we will start to discuss that, I would like to give you the brief introduction about our initiative. Today it is little late, but let me give it because I think I deserve it because I work very hard for you guys. So I want you to get connected with me, follow my notes, follow my lectures so that I will also get benefited from it. Basically from 2nd June, we started this initiative by the name Target IAS 2026. Under this initiative, we promised you that every day we are going to upload 2 videos. One, we will discuss the current affairs in the morning, and second, we will discuss the static syllabus in the evening, which is this video. In the morning session, we discuss the news analysis, we relate articles with respect to your prelims preparation as well as mains preparation, so that you will get sorted with respect to the current affairs. And in the evening, we discuss the static syllabus, and currently we are discussing ancient history. As you can see, it is the 5th lecture. And here we had promised you that by the month of January 2026, we are going to complete your full syllabus. Whatever would be required for you guys to cover, we will cover that. But only exception is that we are not going to cover the optional subjects. And here we started with Indian polity, which we had completed in 30 lectures. Then governance, 11 lectures completed. Now we are discussing the history part. We started with Indian ancient history, and already it is the 5th lecture. So, and at the same time, I had told you that it is not only the lectures which will sort your things for which will complete your preparation, but it is also the notes which you would require to read from. And for that, you may have your own books. That is fine. If you don't have the books, or if you want to read through my notes, because these notes which I write for you guys, these are very comprehensively written. They are related to your prelims, they are related to your mains. There is prelims discussion, mains discussion. And one important thing is that after every concept which we had discussed there would be the possible prelims as well as mains questions if the topic is related to mains. So if you want to get access to our notes, we had already completed notes for Indian polity and governance, and they are already available now for you guys. If you want to get access to it, please do mail us, and you would be told to pay only 200 rupees. And trust me, this is the minimum amount which we are asking from you guys. Once you look at the notes, for you guys, I will tell you, it is 1100 page notes we had prepared for. It is majorly a book, more than a book for you guys, a kind of an encyclopedia for you guys. You will find every topic there. So if you want to get access to it, please do mail us. You will be told to pay only 200 rupees, then you will get the access to it. This is my request to you guys. If you want to read from it, please do this stuff, do mail us, and we will give you the access to these notes. So this is what we expect from you guys. Please, if you like this initiative, please do like it, do share it with your friends, and do subscribe the channel, and do write in the comments what else should we bring for you guys. Now, without any delay, let's move to the another topic, very important topic for you guys, which is the Mahajanpadas. First, I will give you the time period where we had reached so far. Then we will discuss the Mahajanpadas. This is the brief revision what we had discussed in these 3 days, in these 5 days, in these 5 lectures, what we discussed so far. I will give the timeline for that. We started with the 2 million BCE, where we started the Paleolithic age. In this, we saw various aspects. We saw the human evolution. We saw the cranial capacity of humans, how it changed with respect to human evolution. And then we also saw the stages of the Paleolithic age. We discussed that. And it lasted till, for some, it lasted till 10,000 BCE. And for some, it lasted till the 50,000 BCE. For some, it lasted till 35,000 BCE. Well, the date does not matter. Let's take the date, it is 35,000 BCE. And then from 35,000 BCE to 10,000 BCE, we discussed another phase, which is the Mesolithic age, which is the transitional age, if I will be more precise. We saw that how humans evolved because the temperature changed. Animals became much thinner, they became faster, and it led to the evolution of the microliths. It was the need of the peoples to hunt. For the hunting purpose, they need those weapons from which they can use for the long range attacks. So emergence of microliths, and the temperature increased too. and this time period lasted from 35,000 years BC to the 10,000 years BC, and from the 10,000 years BCE onwards till 4,000 years BCE, we see the Neolithic age. Neolithic age. Here in the Neolithic age, we saw that most important feature, agriculture, emerged, and it became the revolution. The complex societies started to emerge in the Neolithic age. After the 4000 BCE, and also I will mention it here for you guys so that it will give the brief revision of what we had discussed so far. Also, I would like to mention that we discussed one thing when we started our course, that sources of history. Sources of history. On the basis of sources of history, I told you there are two. One is archaeological and second is literary sources. And on the basis of sources, we can divide history into three phases. One is prehistory, proto-history, and the history. So here, with respect to the Neolithic age, it all comes under the prehistory. Then we have the Chalcolithic age. Chalcolithic age. In the Chalcolithic age, we have two types. One is the without Harappan culture, and another is with Harappan culture. This Chalcolithic age, it lasts for 4000 years BCE, most probably to, we can say it lasted for 4000 years BCE till 1700 BCE. This is the age of the Chalcolithic age, and in this Chalcolithic age we have two phases. One is without Harappan, which is 4000 to 2500, and here we have 2500 to 1700. We discussed that. And without Harappan, it also comes in the prehistory, but when we take up the Harappan civilization, it comes under the proto-history, because we have the archaeological sources, we have the literary sources, but we are not able to decipher the literary sources. After that, we took up the Vedic age, and this Vedic age starts from 1500 BCE till 1000 BCE, which is the early Vedic age, which we discussed in the yesterday's class. And from 1000 BCE till 600 BCE, it is the later Vedic age, which we discussed so far. What was the society there, what was the political system there, what was the religion there, and various aspects which are required for you to clear the exam. We discussed everything. So till now we had reached to the 6000 BCE. So this is the time limit where we had reached. Now what we are going to discuss is the Mahajanpadas. What we have to discuss now is the Mahajanpadas. So we saw that in the later Vedic age, from 1000 BCE till 600 BCE, we saw one thing started to happen, that monarchical system emerged. Monarchical system started to emerge. Complex societies started to emerge. Agriculture was at its peak. So definitely it gave rise to the this later Vedic age. It led the foundation of monarchical system and the rise of political power. And from the 6th century BC onwards, we see the maturity of it. We see that it is maturing. We see the maturity of the monarchical system. Maturity of the monarchical system. We see the maturity of the monarchical system. And we saw that in the later Vedic age, iron was extensively used. When iron was extensively used, you know, if you can remember that when we were discussing the IVC, I told you there that they did not shift it towards the east of India. Why? Because there were forests and the copper could not cut those forests. But here they have the iron weapons. It was easy for them to cut these iron weapons, and the societies emerged in the Ganga Yamuna Doab. This this area got exposed, and we know that it is the most fertile land. When it is the most fertile land, then it would be more agriculture. When it is more agriculture, then it would be more surplus. When it is more surplus, it would be more complex society. When it is more complex society, then definitely there is the need of the there is the need of the state, need of the state. So with respect to this, in the early monarchical system there were 22 janpadas, but they were often fighting with each other. And eventually in this time period, in the time period of 600 BCE till 550 BCE, mostly the date is this, till this time period, or we can say till 500 BCE, we see that now these 22 Janpadas, they got emerged as the 16 Mahajanpadas. So we have 16 Mahajanpadas. And with respect to this, what are these 16 Mahajanpadas? We will see one by one and we will locate them, because a map based question can come in the exam, or what was the capital of this Mahajanpada, it can come in the exam. So let me first name these Janpadas for you guys, then we will locate them on the map, and then we will name their what were the capitals, and after that we will see the emergence of the kingdoms, and then we will conclude our discussion for today's class. So this is what we are left with now. What were these Mahajanpadas? We saw that there was the monarchical system. They were monarchies. Mostly 13 of them were monarchies. Who were these 13? First, Gandhara. Second, we have the Cambodia. Then we have the Kashi. Then we have the Vatsa. Then we have the Avanti. Then we have the Chedi. Then we have the Kuru. Then we have the Panchala. Then we have Matsya. Then we have Anga. Then we have Kosala. Then we have Magadha. And then we have Surasena. These are 15. These 13 are the monarchies. What are they? They are monarchies. And then there are 3 more. Who are these 3? It is Asaka. It is Malta, and it is Vaji. Asaka, Malta, and Vaji, these 3, they are the oligarchies. What they are? They are the oligarchies. They are ruled by few oligarchies. These 13 are the monarchies and these 3 are the oligarchies. A question about it can be asked in the exam. Identify who are the monarchies and oligarchies. So what would be the smartest way? Remember these 3, you are sorted out. Asaka, Malta, and Vaji. Remember these 3, you are sorted out with respect to that. Not Malta, sorry, Mala. Remember these 3, you are sorted with respect to that. Now, what would be the geographical location for them? Here I had brought this map. Here you can see the Asmaka, which is the southmost. Here you can see Cambodia and Gandhara, which are the northmost. Here you can see Anga and Magadha and Virji, Mala in the eastern side, and here we have the Matsa, and here we can see Patala. So these are the Mahajanpadas which you can find out, which you can see, which you can directly see from this map, and you can find out their locations. Now with respect to this, let me give you the exact what are the capitals, what are the important ones which you have to remember. For your, if you are preparing for UPSC, then UPSC from 2013 onwards, they had not asked any such question with respect to what are their capitals and all that. So you don't have to take care, you don't have to care much about their capitals. But if you are studying for the PSC exams, then definitely you have to take care of these capitals. So let me write it down for you guys so that you will not forget that what are their capitals and what is their present location. So let me write it down. Here first we have the Avanti. What is its capital? It is Ujjain, Ujjain or Mashimeti, and Mashimeti, earlier Mashimeti, then Ujjain, and it is located in MP. Then we have the Gandhara. Gandhara, it is capital is Taxila, and it is located in Afghanistan, Pakistan. Then we have Saurasena, Shaurasena. It is capital is Mathura, and it is located in western UP. Then we have Matsya. Its capital is Viratnagar. It is located in Rajasthan. Then we have JD. Its capital is Suktimati, and it is located in MP. Then we have Magadha. Its capital is Rajgir and Patliputra. Rajgir and Patliputra. It would be located in Bihar, Patna. Then we have the Koshala. Its capital is Sharavasti, and it is located in its capital is Sharavasti, Ayodhya, and it is located in eastern UP. Then we have the Vatsa. It is capital is Champa, and it is located in Bihar or East Magadha. Then we have Anga. Its capital is Champa, and it is located in the Vatsa is located in Kosambi. Its capital is Kosambi, and its capital is Allahabad, UP. It is located in Allahabad, UP. Capital is Kosambi, and for the Anga, it is located in Champa, and its capital is Champa and located in Bihar or eastern Magadha. Then we have, here I will write it, Mallas. It is located in Kusinara. Its capital is Kusinara, and Pawa, and it is located in northeast UP. Then we have Vijay. Its capital is Vaishali, and it's located in Bihar. And then the other important thing is Kashi. Its capital is Varanasi, and it is located in eastern UP. So these are some important Mahajanpadas which you have to take care of. You have to know for the PSC exams, for your state PSC exams, you have to take care of them, what is their capital and where they are located. Now with this, let's move to the, these were the Mahajanpadas there. They were often fighting with each other, and of all these Mahajanpadas, there were 4 Mahajanpadas which were dominant. What are these 4 Mahajanpadas? Let me write it. It is Magadha, it is Kosala, it is Vatsa, and it is Avanti. So these are the 4 Mahajanpadas which were dominant, and of these 4 Mahajanpadas, it is Magadha. Which was the most dominant. And what is the reason for its dominance? Because of its features, its geographical features. What are the geographical features which supported Magadha? Geographical features which supported Magadha. Let me write it down for you guys. First, it is strategically located. Strategically located. As you can see, it is near the Chota Nagpur plateau. So it had the huge iron deposits. Iron deposits. So it has the resources. Second, it is surrounded from the three sides. It is surrounded by three rivers like river Son, Champa, and Ganga. So it for the enemies it is difficult to enter the Mahajanpadas, and from the remaining side, from the fourth side, there is a plateau. When there is Chota Nagpur plateau, it became easy for them. It was on the height. It would become easy for them to look at the enemies who are entering, who are trying to attack them. So it has this strategical, it has this strategical advantage. And also the kings of the Magadha, they were very much important in preserving it. For example, Bimbisara. Then we have the Ajatashatru, his son, Ajatashatru, which we will see in the during the during the Buddha phase, and he is the person who kills the Bimbisara, his father, and also the Udayin, who shifts the capital city to Patliputra. So these were few important kings which it had. Because of it, this Magadha became the state, the most dominant Mahajanpadas in this region. Now with this, we will see last topic of today's discussion, which is the emergence of the dynasty rule there. So what were the dynasties who came into, and who were the most important kings of these dynasties, and from tomorrow we will discuss them in great detail. So here, let me give the little idea about these dynasties. What were the dynasties? First, Haryanka dynasty was there. Haryanka dynasty. It is the important kings were Bimbisara, then Ajatashatru, which we discussed, Ajatashatru, and Udayin. Then after that we have the Shishu Naga dynasty. Here we have the Shishu Naga as the king, Shishu Naga as the most dominant king, and then Kala Ashoka. Also, then we have the Nanda. Here we have the Mahapadmananda, and then Dhanananda. So these were the important kingdoms which emerged in the Magadha. So with this, we had completed our today's discussion. I hope you would have liked it. This today's discussion, it was mainly focusing on your prelims concepts, the prelims facts, and what we discussed today. Trust me, it is the most important lecture from last 5 days. Today's lecture is the most important lecture for your exam perspective, because if any question would be asked, it would be from these slides which we discussed about the Mahajanpadas, about the administrative offices, about the types of lands in the later Vedic age. So this is what we discussed. Now again, I would like to repeat, this course, it is basically focusing the ancient history only. We are not going to touch the art and literature part, so please don't worry about it. Once we will complete the medieval part, then we will take care of the art and literature. So for that, till that time, please have patience, and I hope you are sorted with your the later Vedic age, you are sorted with the early Vedic age, and the Mahajanpadas, the rise of Mahajanpadas. With this, I would like to conclude my today's discussion. I hope you would have liked the video. I hope you would share it with your friends, and I definitely hope you would subscribe the channel. Thank you for staying with me. Thank you very much, and have a nice day.